This is the What's Neat show number 106 for February 15th, 2020. So sit back and relax, and we've got a fabulous show for you tonight.
All right. The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. Additional support is provided by Yelsma Graphics, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at yelsma.com. And by the Gateway St. Louis 2020 NMRA. Meet me in St. Louis, July 12th through the 18th, 2020. For more information on this, check out their website at www.gateway2020.org. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 106 for February 15th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, and we got 2 months of really good shows to talk to you about tonight. I got a lot of great people sitting at the table tonight. First of all, I'm going to start on the very end over here, Daniel, with Bob Amsler. You'll remember Bob as being the official NMRA attorney. You see his name in the front of the bulletin, and he's here on behalf of the NMRA convention tonight, and he's going to fulfill us in on all the really cool tours, not layout tours, but the other special activities that are out there.
Yes, we've got quite a few of the prototype railroads lined up to entertain people who come here for the convention.
Nice. That's awesome. I love you, Bob. I've also got Campbell Rice sitting next to me, right where Joshua usually always sits. Hey, Campbell. And he's been working on his home layout, which is going to run in the March What's Neat video, where we show him into less than 2 weeks of construction after he moved into his new home here in St. Louis. But rock and roll, I understand that thing's almost finished. You've got a lot done.
Man, he has.
I've seen pictures.
A lot more to go.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that tonight. I've also got Mike Budde, who has brought some really cool trucks tonight. I mean, I see a lot of Athearn cement mixers and tow trucks, and you name it. There's some really neat stuff on the table tonight from Mike, and we love it when you're here to talk about all your stuff. Now, if you guys have noticed, it's been another one of those weeks. I have not been able to do a photo shoot since last week. We haven't had any sun. Again, at night, the snowflakes have been flying, and it's absolutely beautiful to witness this. It's that perfect snow. It's movie snow. It's like ready, take, cue the snow. And it's exactly what we had this week. And so then again, I was on the inside of the layout working on things. And last week I talked about how I was painting the clouds and the blue color on my wall on my home layout on that brand new 13-foot section that we had featured in the January's What's Neat video. You guys love that one. We had over 35,000 views on that video. I love those numbers. But the fact is, I wanted to tell you about the color paint that I used. We had this quart of paint on the table, and in readers' comments, people were saying, hey, why is that paint on the table? Because it's called Riviera Blue. I got that from the Home Depot, and it's just the right color for me, because when I go over it with white spray paint closer to the horizon and work myself up to darker blue at the top, it just always looks good. And Campbell, you were telling me the color you use on your layout.
I use a Sherwin-Williams color called Atmospheric, and it's a little bit lighter than what your Riviera Blue is, but it still works.
It's something that's really important to people, is getting the color and the transition right. It's been written about so many years in the past in articles about how to go from the lighter shades of white at the base of the layout and work your way up. Is that how you do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will.
Well, that's supposed to simulate the atmosphere closer to the ground. You're looking right. I mean, that's what it's for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've also been working on the layout on that 13-foot long section. I've got the railroad crossings in. Now, what do I mean by that? What I've done is I put down planked wood, which is nothing but HO scale microengineering railroad ties, and you lay those in a thick bed of wood glue on your track work. So right in between the ties and 2 ties on the outside of the rail, I like to do it. So inside the rail, outside the rail, I just coat the whole area with glue and then lay the railroad ties in. Sure, it takes about 4 hours for it to dry, but once this is dry, you go over the top of the ties with this orbital sander. One of these small sanders that we get from the Home Depot. I've got a couple different ones. They're great tools. And after going over the top of the ties with that, once you see the railhead start to shine up just a little bit, you know you're far enough down to clear your air hoses and all the other underhang things that hang on your trains. So now you've got the perfect grade crossings in place, ready for your cement roads to go on either side. That's something that I'm going to run in the May What's Neat over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine when we continue the layout construction on that diorama and actually finish out all the scenery on that.
What did you color it with?
I stained that, and I like to use dark walnut stain, and then I go over that with just a wash of India inks.
Okay.
Because it gives you that weathered railroad tie look
right.
that we're all trying to achieve.
It looks good.
And then I also like to go over that with a little light paint, some whiter colors on top, just to
Dry
give
brush it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I know. How much have we talked about that? Mike, brother, tell me about these wonderful vehicles on the table tonight.
Well, just for a change of pace, I brought some trucks along instead of cars. That one on the on the left there, that tan and white one, that's a Campbell 66 Express Humpin' to Please cab, but it's an old Leetown model. It's really old, white metal kit. I finished that not too long ago and did a lot of detailing on the back of it and everything with the air hoses and all that. Then the next one to it, that red and white one, that's a casting from Greg Dixon of an old GMC, like mid-60s truck. I think it might be made from a Matchbox truck, but I changed the roof. He had an earlier style roof on his, and I put a more modern roof on it because I had a windshield that fit. So mine's a 65. His was a 62 when he made it. So anyway, then going further, I got a tow truck that's an Athearn tow body that Richard Olson donated to me for this project. And I used a cab that I made from a, I forgot, Majorette cab. It's a Majorette Chevy Bison cab, but I changed it, backdated it, and my friend John Tyson made some etched grills for it. So that, and then the cement mixer next to it, has another, same cab with a different grill on it, but that's also an Athearn product. The cement mixer with my cab on it. And speaking of cement mixers, this guy sent us some pictures. Peter
Munger.
Yeah,
That's right. We remember meeting him at the St. Louis
right.
RPM meet. And he had this beautiful HO scale diorama with all the homes and the streets and the neighborhoods on it. The only reason I'm talking about it is because I'm showing you video of that right now. I can see it in my head.
Yeah,
I videotaped this guy's diorama. The guy's quite a modeler. And I like how he models one module at a time, because it allows you to get tight and do the details. And what did he send us this week? Some cement trucks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like what I did down there, only he used the Mack cab that came with the Athearn, but he really did some nice work on weathering and showing all the wear and tear back around the pouring area for the cement chute and all that stuff. And, water tanks. He's got all the stains in the right places and stuff. If you ever looked at a cement truck,
that's really cool, man. I noticed you've got the ring on the truck that you did, and that ring is on his too. Is that the way they come factory? Is that painted that way?
yeah, and that's where the drum rotates.
Those
so
are
it's like a
beautiful
track,
trucks.
So
I love the cab you put on yours. The fact is, Athearn makes some magnificent vehicles over the years. Remember that
Yes.
first Kenworth, I think is what it was. Was it that box cab truck that we
oh
used to
yeah,
always
that we
get?
had in the '60s. Yeah,
That was
And
such
then
a beautiful
the
model.
Peterbilt long nose truck, or I think it was a Peterbilt. But yeah, those two Athearn cabs, those were staples for years and years.
The patina on top of that red and white GMC is just perfect.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I
you
like
did
to
a
make
good
them
job.
look
Yeah, it really does.
rusty and well
Yeah.
used.
Very good.
You're amazing, Mike. Athearn sent us an SD80 Mack locomotive. This is an AC SD80 Mack AC diesel locomotive, in fact. And this is the EMD demonstrator number 8000, number 8000. And this is in the maroon paintwork. And I'm running B-roll footage of that right now. I know Daniel's wondering, what am I supposed to shoot? You're doing great, Daniel. We got 51 seconds of B-roll of this beautiful locomotive running on the layout down here. I also did some outdoor photography with it. But I remember these are just absolutely beautiful locomotives. And these come with the Sugar Cube speakers in them. So that's two speakers in boxes inside the shell of the locomotive, which creates more of a bass sound if you listen to it as it goes past you. They're working on different ways to make these models sound more enriched and deeper and richer in sound. This model also comes with LED lights. So that means you don't have to hire James Regier to put in lights for you because they're doing it for us, which is awesome. James isn't here tonight. He's in Arizona. And he's been to a couple model railroad clubs and a few museums, so expect to have some really good material from James when he gets back in town. Now, I've got Bob Amsler here tonight from the NMRA, and that's because we have the St. Louis Convention coming up the 12th through the 18th of July. I know I sound like I say that all the time, but I'm really excited about this show. This show has got a lot of benefits and a lot of excitement coming with it. It's going to be one of the best NMRA shows ever, and Bob's going to tell us about some of the special tours that we haven't discussed yet.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of prototype tours for everyone to attend. First off, we have the Port Harbor Railroad. That's a railroad over in Granite City, Illinois, that runs out to the Mississippi River, and it's a multiple product interchange area between rail, trucks, and barges, and that is just a neat tour. We had that back in 2001, and people really liked that one. We have Amstead Foundry. That's a steel plant over in the East St. Louis area. They make boxcar and rail car appliances and trucks and things. And so we've been able to get a tour of the foundry itself.
Wow.
And
Nice.
all the materials they make and the trucks and all that. So that's going to be another good one to see. The Metrolink shops, which is for the light rail here in town, they're going to be putting on a tour for everybody to see. And that's always interesting. That's in the old Missouri Pacific Yards in downtown St.
That'll
Louis.
be cool.
Gateway Rail Services. This is another corporation here in the St. Louis area, and they do repair of private passenger cars, as well as repair to Class 1 and other railroads to their engines and their rail cars if they need them. So they can do those repairs here in St. Louis for them. And that's going to be a neat tour that everyone gets to go to. Metro East Industries, they provide also that kind of repair to railroads in the East St. Louis area and from St. Louis. So that's just another great tour we have to go on. National Museum of Transport. No tour to St.
Magnificent museum that is.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That is a really neat museum. It's now privately owned, and everything that's going on there is just fabulous to see.
It is privately owned.
Yes.
That's something that's kind of exciting because that's kind of new. To me, that was new last
it used
year.
to be owned by St. Louis County.
We were at that museum, if you recall, last year. We had a
That was just
special
about a year
guest
ago.
in town with us here, and we were at that museum doing a tour of the whole place. That was kind of cool. But it's really interesting that they are, in fact, privately owned. It's called Sink or Swim, isn't it? They've got a...
Yes. Yeah. They've got to make their money to cover what they've got. They've got a great collection. I don't know if you know it, but the Smithsonian said that their collection of rail cars and engines and everything was the best in the United States, even beating out Steamtown.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. We're also pleased to have tours of the Barriger Library. That is John W. Barriger's, his estate was given to, it's at University of Missouri St. Louis, and it is just fabulous. Mercantile Library, that's who used to have it. That's what I was thinking of.
I remember that.
Right.
That was open to the public, and that was quite an impressive place.
It was. I was sorry to see it close. I was actually a member of the library, so I was sorry to see that one close. But it's up now at University of Missouri St. Louis, again, open to the public. They have, I believe, the ACF Industries books of every car lot they've ever made. Things like that are up there. And then one other tour I think is going to be a highlight is the old Mopac car shops in DeSoto, now owned by the Union Pacific. I've been on a number of tours through there. The UP only opens that up on Fridays, so we'll be taking a tour of that on Friday. And it is something when you go there. They got these beds of water, and then they got plasma torches inside they cut the steel with. And you really just haven't seen anything. And you see a car, an overhead crane come down, pick up a rail car by both ends, pick it up, and then turn it. They can turn it for painting and all that. It is just amazing to see the work they do on them.
You know, Joshua, he's not here tonight either. Joshua's modeling DeSoto, Missouri. That is his new home layout that he described to us last week on the show. We showed about 12 or 14 different photographs of his progress so far. but he's using GPS. He's using the maps. He is modeling the whole as much as he can fit into an area. A little selective compression there, because I think the facilities are about 2 miles long total.
It's big.
Yes, they're huge.
That's amazing. And all of these things, folks, as of the first week of March, when the brand new website is up for the NMRA convention, they will be able to look up all of these events you've just described, be able to read more information about them. And do they sign up on the website for that? How does that work?
Yes. When the website goes, well, actually, right now you can join. You can become a registrant for the convention right now. And then the whole website is going to go up first week of March, and that's where we're going to have all the tours. We'll have all the dinner functions and things like that. The RPM stuff will be going up. So we're working forward to have that all done. You can all register. Oh, and I forgot, because this one isn't yet on the list, but we've gotten a tour for the Terminal Railroad Association, and they don't let just anyone in. So we're going to have their hump yards and their dispatching center and their towers.
You had a
That's
little personal
fantastic.
connection there, didn't you?
Yes, I do.
All right.
That is really
That's
great, because I can't tell you how many times that I've been over there and maybe I wasn't supposed to be, and they've checked my driver's license. They know who I am. But, that's the cost of being a rail fan, because now there's actually a really great bridge right over the top of that area. I'm going to say layout, but it's not. But there's a really great highway bridge over the top of the yards that you can shoot down on and see a lot of the things, just like it is over here in the BNSF yard in St. Louis next to Highway 40.
Yeah.
You've got that bridge, and it's just a great place for shooting freight cars from on top.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
you've
yeah.
done that before.
Yep.
So do you have to be a NMRA member to do these tours, or not?
No, you don't. Anyone can come to the convention. You don't have to be an NMRA member. We're open to the public. So anyone who wants to come can come. We have a weekly registration rate. We have a daily registration rate. And I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, but the O-Scalers are coming in with our convention. So the National O-Scale Convention will be held in conjunction with ours.
Wow. Great.
That's a lot of activity.
Yep.
That's
We're gonna Try
fantastic.
to please everybody.
That's absolutely amazing. And that's July 12th through the 18th, folks, here in St. Louis. So you can a lot of people set their vacations around that, don't they?
Yes. Yes. We've done surveys, and we understand that about half the people that come to the convention travel with us, because it goes around the country. And 2 years ago to England. And then the other half are mostly within about an 8 to 12-hour drive of where you're holding it.
This is
So,
going to be
yeah.
a great show. I mean, you'll learn everything you need to know about the hobby. You're going to make friends that you'll know for the rest of your life. That's what the NMRA has always been about. I remember a long time ago, they're the ones that came up with the standard coupler, the FX2F coupler.
Yeah.
Is that the horn hook coupler?
Well,
Horn hook, yeah.
The famous.
That's a little bit of a myth. That was dreamed up. They were looking at, but it never became a standard. But the manufacturers actually liked it because it was cheap,
Right.
and it worked.
Right.
So they threw it in with all theirs. Now
Yeah.
that was something we were looking at, but never passed.
But more
Yeah.
recently was that when DCC started coming along back in the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there, I understand their standards that they created were the one thing that kept everything together. It was the glue that held it all together.
Yeah, Bernd Lentz gave the NMRA the patent rights to his DCC, and what we did is we patented the signals, and that way anybody who wants to make a base station and a decoder, you can make your base station decoder, do whatever you want, but they're all going to talk to each other because a signal always has to be the same.
That's fantastic.
That's good.
And we're doing that now with LCC.
That's the new thing.
Right, Arduinos and layout command control.
I wish James Regier was here. You guys could talk shop. How long have you been an NMRA member? You've been one. You're probably a life member, aren't you?
I am now.
Yes.
I started off, I think, in 79. I was, 14 at the time. Joined as a student in 79.
What a great organization. We just love the NMRA, and we can't wait. Also tonight, I want to talk about Yelsma, Denny Yelsma. I think he sent out the baseball caps to the winners that won those baseball caps the other day. And he actually told me how much they are. I think the caps are only $15 a piece if you want to have a What's Neat This Week baseball cap. But you can check that out by going to his website, Yelsma's Graphics. He wanted me to talk about a few things tonight. And then he's got a brand new jacket. This is the Promontory Point, Utah jacket in yellow. It's a very beautiful brand new logo that he's just designed for his company. He's also got this brand new Union Pacific Big Boy cowboy logo that he's designed. Also, he wanted me to mention one more time, and thank you very much to the clubs that have responded in the last couple of months. He has gotten a lot of club activity now where you can have your own jackets and or shirts or hats personalized for your railroad club. The hats would be one way for the clubs to help raise proceeds or funding to pay for their layouts that they're working on. But the fact is, you can have it personalized, front and back of the jacket, and these are not printed. This is embroideried. He does nothing but the best work.
Absolutely.
I very much appreciate the fact that when I get to wear my What's Neat jacket, which is hanging up behind me here, I'm proud. I just love it. And then this summer, we're going to check out all the T-shirts and the other apparel that's available because I'm not going to wear the jacket all summer long, even though I really want to. And so thank you very much, Denny, for helping us do what we do. The last thing I've got on the table is this Norfolk and Western. Get on this, Daniel. I don't have B-roll of it. This is an SD39. And you guys were telling me this Norfolk and Western locomotive is the primed for grime. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right.
And this is where the engines already come faded and weathered and I had no idea that they did this beautiful green locomotive like this. It really came out great. So check them out on the Athearn website at athearntrains.com. It's almost impossible to see all the new things that they're coming out with. You couldn't do it in an advertisement in a still magazine or even on this show. There have been so many different models that I've seen from Athearn just in the last 12 months alone. Different paint schemes, different variations, and with the advent of LEDs and these sugar cube box speakers, they have really changed the industry when it comes to quality products. So thank you very much, Athearn Trains, for what you do for us. Campbell, now you've been working on your layout, and you are in the March What's Neat video at Model Road Hobbyist Magazine, where we get to see your layout, which is really neat.
Well, the start of it.
So tell me, since that video was shot, which only showed about a week's into construction, what have you been working on it?
Well, I got all my sections that I cut out when I cut the layout apart in my old house and brought them over, and I built the modules and the bench work here. So I've got all the bench work. I've got all the foam down. And actually last week I ran my first complete intermodal train all the way around it. So I just take bits and pieces of it and work on it. I still got wiring to do. I still got track to lay, and I get tired of laying track and doing wire, and then I'll switch to scenery for a little while. And in fact, this week I worked on some roads. I put some striping down, and then I actually started my underskirting underneath. And what I did in the past, I had gone and bought material, but that's so expensive. So this time I happened to be walking out of the hardware store the other day, and they had the ground cloth, that you put down in your flower beds.
Yeah.
So I bought a roll of that, 100 foot for like $20, and
Nice.
I just glued some clothespins up underneath and just clothespin it up there, and it looks
Sounds like
pretty
a
good.
good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good way to hide all that stuff in your bench work, and a cheap way to do it, and then it turned out pretty nice. So
I need to get
We've been
back
working
out
on
there and
that.
shoot this layout one more
Yeah.
time because I know how fast you work. And just in the last few months, you've gotten pretty much all of those modules from your old home already set up in the room.
Well, when the weather's like it is here and it's snowing, you don't have a whole lot of opportunity
Yeah.
to do much else. So
Oh, joy.
I'm sure in the spring it's going to slow down as things will. I have a honey-do list outside that's
Yeah.
growing every day. So, but I'm doing what I can while I have the opportunity.
Also in that March video, not only are you in it with your home layout, Campbell, we've got Joe Pellegrino in that video. Him and his son, Tony, have built the most magnificent operating layout, and we feature that layout in the March What's Neat video at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And also, we do an N-scale layout, where we built an N-scale layout for Athearn Trains to run trains on at a trade show display. So we just cover the basics on a simple layout that fits in a closet or underneath your bed. And so that's the lineup for the March What's Neat over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And February's What's Neat is currently running right now. And that is the North American Prototype Modelers Club that opens up that video. That's that very large layout in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A lot of eye candy on that. Also, we have drone footage from Stephen M. Conroy, just an absolutely beautiful bridge shot, and some Union Pacific footage is also in there. Campbell Rice is in February's video where he's showing us how to grind up leaves for scenery underneath your trees on your layout. It's a very effective process, Campbell.
Works out well.
I'm
It's
telling
an
you.
old trick, but sometimes it's
Bunch
helped
of
to
new
be
dogs
reminded.
out here.
Reminded
Right.
of them, and I know we have a lot of new modelers. So
That's right.
Yep.
Also in that video is Don and Chris McReynolds' Santa Fe layout. This is a really beautiful layout that's over in Maryville, Illinois, and this will be on the layout tours for the NMRA 2020 convention in St. Louis, so you can sign up to go and see this absolutely beautiful layout. Now this week I shot a layout for the April What's Neat, and that is John Peluso's beautiful Frisco layout, Mike. I know you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And on this layout, there's one feature that I wanted to talk about tonight, which opens up our subject on lift-out sections. Now, on your layout, Campbell, I saw you had a lift-out section that you were using gravity to hold it in place, and it looks like a pretty good idea.
It works. It's nothing fancy. It didn't take me long to do it. I've just got holes and pegs, and I just drop it into place, and it works.
And then you've seen me do a lift-out section where we use magnets to hold it into place. That was quite a segment for the HON3 layout that I had done. Multiple kinds of lift-out sections I've had at my door. But I want to tell you this. First of all, John Peluso's Frisco layout. On his layout, he had the most magnificent rolling lift-out system that I have ever seen. I showed it to the guys
a door.
tonight.
Oh, yeah.
What's the thing of beauty? You can tell he's an engineer.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, it's fabulous.
3 tracks on the bottom, 2 tracks on top, all the scenery in place, and this thing rolls into place. Conductivity of electricity is all set up. It's a very impressive rollout. Also on Joe Pellegrino's layout, which I talked about a few minutes ago, that's in the March's What's Neat video, he also had a very interesting folding gate system. This was a double-deck system also. He had a bridge on top, and piano hinges are the type of hinges he used. I know John Peluso used door hinges. But either which way, these gentlemen are so smart in their creativity, and that's part of what I love about this hobby, is it really brings out the creative engineering side of so many people. And these are 2 of the best gate systems that I've ever seen, and I've seen both of them just in the last 60 days. So what a treat that's been. I see Daniel zooming in the camera on those beautiful throttles. This metal throttle holder that we've got has just been fantastic for holding these. And this is the NCE Pro Cab. This is a system that we've got hooked up on my layout. That's the larger throttle. And the smaller throttle, which doesn't get very much coverage on the show, I really like that one because it's so small. You can hold it in your hand. It's completely radio, wireless throttle, and it's just convenient because it's got the knob on it. If you look at the larger throttle, they offer us all types of ways to run the trains. They've got the push button system for acceleration and deceleration. They've also got a thumb rolling knob on the larger throttle. But the thing I like about the small throttle is it's got that simple potentiometer knob on it. Something that us model railroaders have been used to for the last, 40 years, from the very first troller that came out in the 1985, was it, when trollers were so popular? We used those on the Midwest Valley Modelers layout back in 1988, and they worked out great. But if we were starting the layout today all over again, we'd be powering that layout with this NCE power system because we know it would work. We get great radio frequency at the shows, and nobody would lose control of their trains. So thank you very much, NCE, for what you do for our show. You guys make a great product. As I go through my list, is there anything else anybody else needs to talk about tonight? Going once. I think we're at time on this one, too.
Okay.
Everything's good, guys. This is show number 106 for February 15th, 2020. Let's go run some trains.
All right.
All right.